Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. The most unsettling people are the ones who see everything but say nothing. You think the loud ones are dangerous? Think again. The real threat walks in quietly, doesn't care about your title, and won't flinch when you try to intimidate them. That's a Sigma male. No warning shots, no theatrics, just raw, unshakable presence. Here's a wild fact. Studies in behavioral psychology show that individuals who are socially withdrawn but intellectually observant are more likely to detect manipulation, deception, and hidden motives before anyone else even feels something's off. Now connect the dots. That's the Sigma archetype in a nutshell: silent, observant, and 10 steps ahead. This isn't your typical lone wolf nonsense. We're not here to glorify mystery with moody stares and leather jackets. We're diving into the chilling truth. The naturally terrifying things Sigma males do without even trying. Things that make people uncomfortable, confused, even paranoid. They're not trying to scare you, it just happens as a side effect of not needing the world's approval. And yeah, they'll ghost you faster than your Wi-Fi during a Zoom call if your energy's off, so buckle up. Because what you're about to hear isn't hype, it's the psychological blueprint of a man who doesn't play by your rules. Because he never agreed to them in the first place. Let's get into it. Number 1, they will not protect your ego, only your truth. Sigma males don't protect your ego, they protect your truth. And that's exactly why most people can't handle them for too long. They don't care about how soft you want your feedback or how delicately you want to be lied to. If you're messing up, they'll let you know. If you're delusional, they won't nod and smile. They'll just give you that deadpan look that says, "Are you serious right now?" And then proceed to dissect your illusion like a surgeon cutting into rotten flesh, calmly, methodically, without blinking. It's not cruelty, it's just that Sigma males don't think sugarcoating helps anyone grow. If they see you lying to yourself, they won't sit by and watch you self-destruct in silence just to stay on your good side. They're the kind of person who'll call you out when no one else dares to, because they'd rather lose the friendship than let you drown in your own nonsense. That level of honesty terrifies people, not because it's mean, but because it strips away the protective fluff we've all built around our egos. Most people aren't used to raw truth unless it's wrapped in a compliment. With Sigmas, there's no bow on the package. Just the truth, as clean and brutal as it needs to be. And what makes it even more terrifying? They don't yell, they don't insult, they just say it how it is, with the emotional tone of someone explaining math. No drama, no extra seasoning, just facts. That kind of calm, surgical honesty hits harder than any loud argument ever could. And here's the kicker, they don't do it to look smart or feel superior. They do it because they believe you deserve to deal with reality, not hide from it. That belief makes them dangerous in a world built on pretending. They'll make you look in the mirror when you're not ready. They'll make you rethink your choices without raising their voice. And they won't apologize for it. To them, protecting someone's ego is like watching them walk into traffic with headphones on and choosing not to say anything because they might get mad. Sigma males speak up, not for approval, but because silence feels like betrayal. Number 2, they never play the victim because they secretly like pain. Sigma males never play the victim because they don't see pain as a punishment. They see it as training. While most people avoid discomfort like it's a virus, Sigma males walk straight into it with that unbothered, blank look that says, "Let's get this over with." They don't whine, they don't broadcast their suffering on social media, and they don't expect anyone to come save them. In fact, the silence around their struggle is what makes them even more terrifying. They hurt in private, they process in silence, and they come back sharper than before, every single time. Pain doesn't break them, it resets them. Most people flinch and complain when life throws punches, but Sigmas clench their teeth, take the hit, and analyze what they're supposed to learn from it. They don't see hard times as injustice. They see them as sharpening stones. And because of that mindset, they become emotionally untouchable. You can't manipulate someone who's already made peace with losing, with failing, with being misunderstood. What are you going to threaten them with? More pain? They already eat that for breakfast. Here's what really scares people. Sigma males aren't afraid to be uncomfortable. They don't chase the easy path. In fact, if something feels too easy, they start questioning if it's even worth doing. Their comfort zone is where other people quit. And the most unnerving part? They don't dramatize it. There's no self-pity, no craving for applause, just quiet resilience that says, keep going. That attitude makes them immune to emotional blackmail, peer pressure, and manipulation tactics. You can't guilt trip them. You can't trap them in drama. You can't bait them into playing victim just so you feel like the hero. They don't need that dynamic. They'd rather suffer privately and grow than drag others into their storms. Sigma males know life isn't fair. They just don't need it to be. And that's what makes them so dangerous. While everyone else is stuck asking, why me? They're already adapting, already rebuilding, already evolving. Pain doesn't weaken them, it upgrades them. Number 3, they destroy their identity every few years and rebuild it better. Sigma males have no emotional loyalty to who they used to be. While most people cling to their identity like it's a safety blanket, job titles, social roles, personalities they've outgrown, Sigmas burn it all down the moment it stops serving them. They're not scared to outgrow their own reflection. If anything, they expect to. Every few years, they hit a point where they look at their life, their mindset, even their style, and think, yeah, that version of me is expired. Then they start tearing it down. No announcement, no ceremony. Just quiet demolition. This isn't some surface-level rebrand. They go deep. Friends, beliefs, habits, goals, nothing is off limits. They'll walk away from a career they mastered, cut ties with people who no longer match their values, and vanish from the environments they once dominated, just to become a version of themselves that feels more real. And the people around them? They get whiplash, because when most folks are still trying to preserve their high school identity at 35, a Sigma has already gone through 3 full evolutions. What makes it terrifying is how calm they are about it. They don't mourn the old self. They don't panic about the unknown. They just walk straight into the fire and let what's fake burn. The fear that paralyzes most people, fear of losing status, comfort, or stability, is what fuels a Sigma's rebirth. They'd rather risk everything than stay stuck in a version of life that no longer aligns with their growth. This is why they're so hard to control or label. You can't box them in because even they refuse to stay in one version of themselves for too long. They are their own prototype, constantly refining, constantly upgrading. To people who rely on consistency to feel safe, this looks unstable. But to a Sigma, staying the same is the real danger. Their identity isn't some fixed monument, it's a living system designed to evolve, adapt, and be rebuilt as needed. That kind of self-reinvention, cold, methodical, and unapologetic, terrifies people who've spent their entire lives pretending to be one thing just to be accepted. A Sigma doesn't want acceptance. He wants authenticity, even if that means killing off yesterday's version of himself to get there. Number 4, they forget what you said, but never how you made them feel. Sigma males might forget your exact words, the promises you made, or even the petty drama, but they'll never forget the emotional fingerprints you left behind. That stuff doesn't just fade, it gets filed, not because they're holding grudges, but because their mind doesn't care about your explanations. It only cares about the impact. They're not interested in apologies soaked in guilt or excuses wrapped in sweet talk. They remember how it felt to be around you, safe or unsafe, seen or used, respected or dismissed, and that memory shapes how they deal with you from that point on. You'll think everything's fine because they didn't lash out or make a scene. But Sigma males rarely show you when they've emotionally clocked out. They don't argue. They don't announce, hey, you just lost access to me. They just recalibrate in silence. If they felt manipulated, betrayed, or disrespected, something inside them quietly adjusts, and you'll never get the same version of them again. Not out of bitterness, out of emotional precision, and that's the unnerving part. You won't see the shift coming. You'll just start noticing their replies are shorter, their energy is different, their presence feels distant even when they're right in front of you. The emotional bridge has been burned, and you're still standing on what you think is solid ground. They're not like people who bring up the past every time they're mad. Sigma males don't repeat themselves. If they've filed you under, don't trust fully, you won't get a memo, you'll just experience the downgrade. Maybe they used to open up to you, now they don't. Maybe they used to show up for you, now they're politely unavailable. They don't ghost you out of nowhere, they just evolve their boundaries without announcing the update. And the hardest part? You'll never really know what moment changed everything because they don't need drama to protect their peace. They just store the emotional data, analyze it in silence, and move accordingly. For a Sigma male, loyalty isn't based on what you say. It's based on how you made them feel, especially when you thought they weren't paying attention. Spoiler alert, they always were. Number 5, they sabotage comfort zones like demolition experts. Sigma males don't just step out of their comfort zones, they blow them up like it's a controlled demolition. The moment life starts feeling too predictable, too easy, too on autopilot, they get suspicious. They know that comfort, when left unchecked, becomes a trap, and they refuse to rot slowly in routines that make them feel safe but dead inside. While most people chase stability like it's gold, Sigmas see it as the beginning of personal decay. So instead of clinging to it, they tear it down and rebuild from the ground up. It could be a job they've mastered, a city they've thrived in, or a lifestyle that looks perfect from the outside. Doesn't matter if it stops challenging them, it becomes disposable. They'll quit a secure, high-paying role without hesitation. They'll end a comfortable but shallow relationship. They'll strip everything back to zero, not because they're reckless, but because they're addicted to growth, not comfort. And growth doesn't live where things stay the same. This mindset unnerves people who've spent their whole lives trying to build a nest and never leave it. To them, Sigma males look unstable, even self-destructive. But what they don't get is that Sigmas aren't afraid of failure. They're terrified of flatlining mentally and spiritually while pretending everything's fine. That's why they self-sabotage anything that starts to lull them into stagnation. Not out of chaos, but out of clarity. They know that every comfort zone eventually becomes a cage. And if you're not careful, you start confusing comfort with happiness, routine with purpose, and numbness with peace. Sigma males refuse to be domesticated by repetition, so they make radical moves, sometimes silently, sometimes abruptly, but always with intention. And here's the kicker, they don't look back. You won't see them second-guessing or posting starting over speeches online. They just move forward like a ghost shifting through timelines, unbothered by what they left behind. That kind of detachment from comfort and the ability to keep reinventing themselves without emotional panic absolutely terrifies people who've built their entire identity around staying safe. To the Sigma, there's no real danger in risk. The true danger is getting so used to what's good enough that you forget you're capable of something greater. And they'd rather destroy their comfort zone today than realize a decade from now they died inside trying to preserve it. Number 6. They make people confront their illusions. Being around a Sigma male is like walking past a mirror that doesn't lie. No filters, no flattering angles. Just the raw, unedited version of who you really are. And that makes people deeply uncomfortable. Because most of society runs on performance, pretending to be more confident, more important, more successful than they actually feel. But a Sigma doesn't engage with your act. He doesn't respond to the version you're selling. He responds to the version you're hiding. And when you realize that, it's like psychological whiplash. People expect to be fed the usual pleasantries. You're doing great. You're so smart. You've got it all together. But Sigma males don't hand out emotional participation trophies. They observe quietly, pick up on the contradictions you thought no one noticed, and respond with a level of authenticity that strips away your mask whether you're ready or not. You think you're impressing them with charm, they're noticing the insecurity behind it. You think you're intimidating them with power, they're picking up on the desperation behind your dominance. And the worst part, they don't even have to say anything for you to feel exposed. Their energy alone calls people out. It's not confrontational, it's clarifying. And that clarity makes people squirm. Because when someone refuses to play along with your carefully curated image, you're forced to confront whether that image was ever real to begin with. Most people avoid that kind of self-reflection like the plague, but a Sigma male brings it out just by existing. They don't do this to be cruel. They're not walking around trying to ruin people's delusions for sport. It's just that they live so firmly in their truth that anything fake gets naturally rejected in their presence. They don't need to expose you, they just refuse to pretend. And that refusal hits people hard, especially those who've built their whole lives around being liked, admired, or feared. So people either evolve around Sigmas or avoid them. Because once you've been seen by someone who really sees, it's hard to go back to faking it. Sigma males won't force you to change, but they'll make it very, very hard to keep lying to yourself. Number 7, they emotionally delete people like corrupted files. Sigma males don't argue, they don't chase, they don't give 5 warnings and a dramatic goodbye speech. When someone crosses a boundary, emotionally, morally, or energetically, they just shut the file, instantly, permanently, no explanation. It's not ghosting, it's not sulking. It's a clean, emotionless system update where you get deleted from their internal world like a corrupted file that can't be fixed. And it's terrifying to anyone used to people begging for closure or clinging to toxic connections. What's especially unnerving is how quiet the process is. One day you're in their life, sharing ideas, laughter, or even intimacy. And the next, it's radio silence, no warning signs, just cold absence. It's not spite, it's not bitterness, it's precision. Once a Sigma senses that your presence is fake, manipulative, or just draining their peace, they don't stick around to negotiate or explain. They don't see the point. Why keep energy vampires on life support? This shutdown is deeply unsettling for the average person because most people are used to emotional gray areas, arguments, half apologies, dramatic reconciliations. Sigma males don't play that game. There's no let's talk it out. There's no emotional mess. Just a clean severing that feels so cold, so final, it messes with your sense of reality. You'll keep checking your phone, wondering what you did, hoping they'll circle back. But they won't. Because they don't operate on guilt, obligation, or emotional chaos. And once you're gone, that's it. There's no backspace key, no reinstall option. They're not deleting you to teach a lesson. They're deleting you because access is revoked. Period. No drama, no revenge, just silence. And the scariest part? You'll never get the same version of them again, even if they cross your path in the future. That door doesn't reopen. It's this emotional finality, so calm, so clean, so irreversible, that makes Sigma males feel untouchable. They don't need closure because they are the closure. And once you experience that kind of cutoff, you realize this isn't someone you can manipulate, guilt, or guilt trip into staying. It's someone who guards their peace like sacred ground, and once you disrespect it, you're gone without a trace. Number 8, they disappear while standing in the same room. A Sigma male can vanish without moving an inch. He might be sitting right across from you, nodding occasionally, making just enough eye contact to keep things polite. But mentally, he's long gone. The conversation hit a level of dullness, pettiness, or emotional chaos that triggered his internal exit. And now, while you're busy talking about who said what or how you feel about someone's Instagram post, he's already processing something 10 layers deeper. A project idea, a philosophical problem, a strategy for his next move. He's not ignoring you to be rude, he's just allergic to surface-level nonsense. This detachment freaks people out because most aren't used to someone disconnecting so cleanly without slamming the door or rolling their eyes. There's no visible sign that he's checked out, no dramatic sigh, no sarcastic comeback. He just mentally evaporates. And what's wild, you might not even notice at first. But then you ask a question, and he pauses a beat too long. Or he responds with something so blunt and off-topic it makes you blink twice. That's when it hits you. He's somewhere else entirely. Sigma males don't do it on purpose. It's not some passive-aggressive power move. It's just their natural instinct to withdraw from noise. Their mind is too precise, too streamlined to waste bandwidth on circular conversations, social games, or emotional small talk. So when things start spiraling into drama, attention-seeking, or ego fluff, they shift gears and retreat into their internal world without leaving the room. Physically present, spiritually gone. People find this eerie because it feels like they're talking to a ghost, someone whose body is right there, but whose spirit is off building empires in another mental universe. It's not personal either. Sigmas do this with everyone, family, friends, lovers, co-workers. If what's being said isn't real, relevant, or useful, they switch channels, instantly, quietly, without apology. And once they're gone mentally, good luck pulling them back. You can raise your voice. You can ask if they're listening. You can try to poke the bear. But they're too far ahead to circle back to a conversation they already decided isn't worth finishing. They're not ignoring you. They've just chosen elevation over participation. And that decision, done with such calm detachment, is both confusing and terrifying to anyone who craves constant validation. And number 9, they don't forgive to feel better. They forget to move forward. Sigma males don't go around preaching forgiveness or demanding closure. They're not interested in long emotional debriefs, teary apologies, or dragging the past through therapy talk. If you wrong them, disrespect them, or cross a personal boundary, they don't explode. They don't chase answers. They don't even flinch. What they do is far more unsettling. They erase you. Not out of revenge, not out of rage, but because you've become irrelevant to where they're going. To a Sigma, emotional baggage is dead weight, carrying grudges, replaying betrayals, holding on to pain. It's all just clutter. and they're obsessed with internal clarity. So instead of performing the usual forgiveness theater, they simply delete the entire file, the moments, the connection, the potential. Not in a dramatic way, more like a silent system reset. You were a character in one chapter, and now you're just white space. Gone from memory, gone from emotion. This doesn't mean they're heartless. On the contrary, they feel deeply, far more than they ever show. But they refuse to let those feelings rule them. If you hit them where it hurts, they process it internally, draw the lesson from it, and move forward without dragging your shadow behind them. They don't need to forgive to sleep at night. They just mentally rewrite the timeline where you never existed. That's their closure. And what throws people off is the peace they carry afterward. No bitterness, no pettiness, just a complete detachment that feels both powerful and disturbing. You might still be rehashing the past, wondering if you should reach out or explain yourself, but they've already emotionally uninstalled the app. The silence isn't cold, it's clean. This kind of emotional discipline is rare. Most people need drama, breakdowns, reconciliations. Sigma males need none of that, because to them, true strength is about moving forward with nothing unresolved, simply because they decided to leave it behind. They don't stay stuck in stories where they got hurt. They write new ones where you're not even in the cast. And that's the part people don't see coming. You don't just lose access to them, you lose the space you once held in their mind. No fanfare, no resentment, just gone. That's not forgiveness, that's evolution. Number 10. They leave high-paying jobs with zero warning. Sigma males don't worship the paycheck. They don't sit in corner offices stroking their egos with titles. And they definitely don't stick around in soul-crushing roles just because the money's good. If a job starts to feel like a velvet prison, comfortable but mind-numbing, they'll vanish without warning. No farewell email, no last team lunch, no emotional exit. Just a silent disengagement that leaves bosses scrambling and colleagues whispering. Most people are conditioned to stay. They endure toxic work cultures, dead-end promotions and performative meetings because it's safe or responsible. Sigmas don't buy that narrative. For them, stability without purpose is just a slow spiritual death. The second their curiosity flatlines or their freedom feels compromised, they pull the plug. It doesn't matter how much they're being paid, how many perks they're offered, or how prestigious the brand is. If it no longer aligns with their inner blueprint, it's over. And the scariest part, there's no emotional chaos, no visible burnout, no explosive resignation, just a quiet decision already made long before anyone suspects a thing. While others are still trying to decode their poker face in meetings, they're already mentally 5 cities away building the next thing. This unnerves traditional leaders who rely on control, fear, and golden handcuffs to retain talent. Sigma males can't be bought. They don't respond to praise or pressure the way most employees do. Try to dangle a raise in front of them, and they'll yawn, threaten their position, and they'll smile, because they were never attached to it in the first place. That unpredictability makes them dangerous in the best way. You can't manipulate someone who's not afraid to walk away from the table, even when the table looks luxurious. It's not recklessness, it's clarity. Sigmas value their inner freedom more than any external reward, and they trust their instincts with religious intensity. If something feels off, they don't wait around to see if it gets better. They trust the exit sign and follow it, even if they don't know what comes next. That boldness baffles people who've been trained to cling to certainty at all costs. So when a Sigma male walks out of a high-paying job without flinching, it's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. He's not running from pressure, he's running toward purpose. And that scares the hell out of a world that thinks money equals meaning. Number 11. They don't argue, they assassinate flawed logic. Arguing with a Sigma male is like bringing a foam sword to a sniper fight. You don't even realize you've lost until your entire point collapses under the weight of your own words. They don't raise their voice. They don't interrupt. They don't throw emotional punches. What they do is far more unsettling. They listen, dissect, and then respond with a precision so sharp it slices through all your fluff like a scalpel through tissue. They're not trying to win arguments. They're trying to expose truth. And because they don't argue from ego or emotion, their logic hits different. You'll be 3 minutes into a passionate rant full of conviction, and they'll calmly drop a single line that destroys the entire foundation of your stance. No yelling, no insults, just clean surgical dismantling. You won't even know what to say back because they didn't attack you. They attacked your logic, and they did it so well you start questioning if you ever believed what you said in the first place. This terrifies people who are used to debates being emotional contests. Sigmas aren't there to compete, they're there to clarify. And clarity, when it's against you, is brutal. It's why people often say Sigmas are intimidating in discussions, even when they're being polite. It's not that they dominate with volume, it's that they make you feel intellectually naked, stripped of all your justifications and assumptions. And here's the twist, they don't enjoy humiliating people. They're not flexing for attention. In fact, they often stay quiet until someone forces them to speak. But when they do, it's game over. Their brain is a database of patterns, inconsistencies, and quiet observations you didn't even know they were making. So when they speak, it's not random. It's a loaded statement, calculated and backed by data you didn't realize they were collecting in real time. That's why people avoid debating Sigmas once they've seen them in action. It's not that they're mean, it's that they're right, in the kind of way that leaves no emotional cushion to fall back on. And that's far more terrifying than being yelled at. Because when a Sigma tears apart your logic in 2 sentences flat, you don't walk away angry, you walk away rethinking everything. Number 12, they study people like broken code. To the average person, a Sigma male looks like he's just listening, nodding slowly, sipping his drink, giving the occasional But what's actually happening in his head would terrify most people. While you're talking about your day, your dreams, or some petty drama, he's running a silent scan on everything you're not saying. Your body language, your tone shifts, the logic gaps in your story, the contradiction between your words and your energy. He's not judging you, he's debugging you. Sigma males don't just hear you, they decode you. They study people like corrupted software, looking for the bugs, the outdated programming, the emotional viruses messing with the system. They notice the pause before your fake laugh, the defensiveness in your over-explaining, the mask you wear when you want approval. You can be charming, confident, loud, or vulnerable. It doesn't matter. He's already figured out which parts are real and which ones are running on autopilot. And the wild part? He's doing all of this silently, without ever making you feel cornered or exposed. It's not manipulation. It's not superiority. It's just instinct. Sigma males can't not analyze. They're wired to observe human behavior like a mechanic listens to an engine. One weird sound, one off pattern, and they know something's off, even if you're smiling and saying everything's fine. This makes people feel either deeply seen or extremely uncomfortable, because you can't hide behind charm or chaos with a Sigma. He's immune to noise. He's watching the source code of your behavior, not the show you're putting on. This diagnostic way of relating to people makes them insanely accurate when it comes to reading motives. They don't get blindsided by fake friends or sweet talkers. They see the gap between someone's words and their energy, and that's where the truth lives. So if he distances himself from you, it's not out of nowhere. It's because he's already seen the part of you you're hoping no one notices. People often think they fooled him until he makes a calm statement that feels like it came from your private journal. He'll say something offhand that makes your heart drop, not because it's mean, but because it's true. That's what terrifies people. Not that he's watching, but that he's understanding you in ways you haven't even understood yourself. In a world that rewards noise, showmanship, and constant validation chasing, the Sigma male moves like a ghost in broad daylight, unseen by most, yet deeply felt by all. He doesn't scream to be heard, he doesn't beg to be liked, and he doesn't perform just to fit in. What makes him terrifying isn't aggression, arrogance, or dominance. It's the calculated stillness that unsettles everyone trying too hard to be someone. The Sigma male doesn't follow the blueprint, he burns it. He walks out of high-paying jobs without a flinch. He disconnects from draining people with surgical precision. He studies you like code, dismantles your arguments with a sentence, and evolves into a better version of himself without any applause. There's no announcement, no spectacle, just silent reinvention. He doesn't chase attention because he finds strength in solitude. He doesn't argue to feel right because his logic cuts cleaner than ego ever could. And he doesn't need leadership roles to make leaders feel small. His mere presence shifts the hierarchy without lifting a finger. That kind of power isn't loud, it's felt. And that's why people fear it. What terrifies the world about Sigma males isn't that they reject the rules, it's that they don't need them. They don't run from pain, they metabolize it. They don't cling to old identities, they destroy and rebuild them. And they don't keep people around out of guilt or habit. If something or someone no longer fits, they vanish, mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically, without explanation. And while others rely on external systems for worth, relationships, careers, approval, Sigmas are fortified from the inside out. They're not above the world, they're just outside it, operating on a frequency most people can't access, let alone influence. So if you've ever felt disturbed, intrigued, or even slightly challenged by a Sigma male, it's not an accident. It's because his existence dares you to question your own. He won't change to make you comfortable, but if you're lucky enough to truly observe him, he might just change how you see yourself. If you found this deep dive eye-opening and want more brutally honest truths about Sigma psychology and the minds that move in silence, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. The world may not understand the Sigma, but here we do. If this video hit different, it's because the truth isn't dressed up here, it's delivered raw. So if you're into deep, brutally honest content that actually makes you think, don't just scroll away. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a drop of this rare energy, like the video if it gave you chills or clarity or both. Comment your favorite point, or the one that made you the most uncomfortable. Growth starts there. Share this with someone who thinks they've figured out Sigma males and watch their jaw drop. This isn't surface-level motivation. This is mindset surgery. Stick around, we go deeper than anyone else.